Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So, if you're like me and you're frustrated with the direction of the AAA gaming industry, and I'm not talking about anything specific, just in general, then it's time for us to rise up. But keep watching, because what I'm going to talk about may not be what you think it is. All right, so before I get into the bulk of what I want to talk about today, I want to give a little bit of context and a little bit of backstory that has been going on with me the past couple of weeks, why I started this channel, and why you're seeing a sudden shift in my content. All I want is for the video game industry and our hobby in general to be better. And I thought by doing commentary, that was the best route to go because I watch a lot of content creators like Smash JT, Vera Dark, and Rev, for example. He's one of my favorite VTubers. But then what happened was drama ensued in the creator space. I saw it all over social media, and all of this happened up until the Video Game Awards. And I thought about covering a few of those things, but the more and more it kept happening, the less I wanted to talk about it. So then I started questioning myself, what direction do I want to take at this point? Because I started to get tired of the drama, so I wanted to focus more on positive content at that point. Now, that is not to say I'm not going to do some commentary because I absolutely still am. I'm just going to be very picky about what subjects I talk about. But anyway, when I want to escape all the drama on YouTube and on social media stuff, there's a little channel I go to, and it goes by Sungran Studios. You may know of him. His name is Jarrell. And watching his content really inspired me to kind of move my channel in a more positive direction, but still wanting to speak out against the things that are going on in our favorite hobby. Because at the end of the day, I just want to create content that I enjoy, not just rage bait. My goal here is to create a community so we can get together and fawn over our favorite things, over our favorite nerdy things. I love Dungeons and Dragons, I love video games, I love anime, all of those things. And I say this from someone who grew up with a lot of these things back in the day when this wasn't as popular as it is now. But anyway, getting into the meat of the video here, the reason I brought up Sungran Studios and Jarrell is because he did a video a while back that really resonated with me. Now, I'm going to go ahead and play a small little section of that video, and then I'm going to continue on.
So we must be prepared to shape the future. In place of AAA studios, more smaller studios will gain prominence. Smaller teams built of individuals who were born with talent, who have spent their lives sharpening their skills, who have the passion and vision necessary to create good games, they will gain increasing levels of success. Independent developers, despite lacking funding, will have access to more knowledge and stronger tools. Independent developers will craft incredible games fueled entirely by passion and the sheer force of willpower to create something good for their fellow gamers. Leading the charge will be medium-sized development teams who are able to fight back and withstand the ideological meddling of blue-haired activists who seek not to make the world better, but to take power and control for themselves. These medium-sized developers of the future will create the grand-scale experiences that the AAA studios of the past once provided.
Now, he's absolutely right. We can be the future of this industry, but we just have to get out there and we have to do it. Now, for those who don't know, I am working on my own game. I actually have been for a while. I've actually made video games in the past. I used to make games back in the day during the Xbox Live 360 timeframe when they had Xbox Live indie games. What that was anyone with a passion for making a game could download the software and make their own game, upload it, and can get it onto a specialized store on Xbox Live. Now, how this worked was you uploaded your game, other people in the same creative space, other people making video games and uploading to the same store would peer review your game and check it for certain criteria, whether it would pass certification or not. Now, I'm not going to get into a whole lot of details about that because that's all long gone, but yes, I do have experience making games. I actually went to a college by the name of Collins College in Arizona and actually have a degree. It's a Bachelor of Arts in game design. So I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. Growing up, I've always been into computers and technology, and video games have always been a big part of that. I remember a time when me and my dad were building a computer, and I didn't realize at the time that it was actually for me. He just said, "Hey, I'm going to teach you how to build a computer." So we started building it. We went and bought the parts. He showed me what to do. And then after we were done, he looked at me and said, "Okay, go put it in your room." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Oh, it's yours. You built it. It's yours." Soon after that, for Christmas, the thing that I got and I was the most excited about was he bought me a Visual Basic book with lots of examples of coding and with the software so I could load it onto my computer and learn how to program. Now, why am I bringing all this up? Because when I say we need to rise up, I say we need to rise up and create our own stuff. It is way easier now, more than ever, than it ever used to be, to get into creating your own video games. Trust me on that, because I've been doing this a while. And it doesn't have to stop at just video games. Create a board game, create a tabletop RPG, create your own animation, go out there and film your own movie. We all have the ability to do this. We don't have to succumb to just whatever these major studios and companies want to give us. We can make our own. And with platforms like Steam, it is easier now than ever to get our own games published. Even the Nintendo Switch allows for a lot of indie developers to publish on it. And there are many resources available out there. All you got to do is Google it. There's lots of software, there's forums, there's always people willing to help you learn how to do these things, how to 3D model, how to program. And I'm going to say this right now. You can use me as a resource. If something that might interest you all, if you want me to do live streams where I do coding classes for free, if you want me to show you how to do 3D modeling and learn the 3D modeling programs, if you want me to show you how the game engines work, I will definitely for sure 100% do that. I can even make videos on them so you have a reference to go back later. Let me know in the comments if that is something you are interested in. But the point is, let's all get together. Let's make a community. Let's create our own stuff. We don't have to buy the stuff that the AAA gaming industry is selling us. We don't have to go and see all those movies. We can make our own. We can make our own board games. We can make anything we want. The only thing that's stopping you is yourself. Now, before I end this video, there are two more things I want to talk about. So as you know, I mentioned that I am working on a game, and so I'm going to go into a little bit of extra detail about that. So since I grew up in the 80s and 90s, I'm very old school, so that's where I get a lot of my inspiration. So what I'm working on would be best described as very similar to games like Heretic and Hexen. And if you don't know what those games are, I'm going to show some little clips from both of those games. They're games that utilize the Doom engine back in the day and turned Doom into more of a hack and slash medieval fantasy genre instead of a sci-fi first-person shooter. And as someone who really loves fantasy, specifically the sword and sorcery genre, you know, I have lots of fond memories of watching Conan the Barbarian and things like that. So I wanted to combine my love of fantasy with that 90s aesthetic. So I am working on something that is first-person sword and sorcery, where you go around and fight monsters and you have magic and you have weapons. I want to combine the old school level design where it's a maze-like area, but the textures are going to have a bit more of a modern look to them. They're going to be higher res textures on the walls and the floors and things like that. So I wanted to combine the best of both worlds, old school and new. Now, if this is something that does interest you, feel free to subscribe to the channel, because on down the road, as I get more and more of this game completed, I will be showing it off. Keep in mind, when I use the games Heretic and Hexen as examples, that's all they are. They're just examples, a way for me to portray what I'm actually seeing in my head. I do have some of the levels completed, but not all of them. And as I get more of the mechanics and things like that working, I will definitely show you those. Another little inspiration I have for the game is there's an old movie by the name of Kroll. It was another sword and sorcery movie. It had this weapon, this glaive weapon, and the main character could throw it, and it was a bladed throwing weapon, and he could kind of guide it and control it. And I am going to be adding some type of a weapon in the game like that as well. So this is really going to be a big love letter to the old 80s sword and sorcery genre. Now, on to the last thing I want to talk about real quick before I go ahead and end this video. The days of the little animated PNG file that you're seeing on the screen right now are going to be gone. I am actually in the process of working on my own 3D VTuber avatar. I am trying to make it as close to the avatar as possible. Now, I will be taking a few liberties here, but I am getting that 3D modeled and textured. I've already got the tracking and everything working, so expect to see that happen here in the very near future, probably sometime after Christmas. Anyway, that's all I have for today's video. I'm going to go ahead and end it there, and I will see you on the next video.